9 to 5 in a job that we hate, molding our minds to serve food on a plate, wasting our time asking who's to blame. Rush paying claims, this is not what we came to. The city that says my mom would always say you are what you make, but the money I made as a bed-wage slave with my own bathtub babe. It's a shot to the grave, a tombstone that says what a beautiful ways of what could have been.
Here's Gray. Hello? Can you
Hello.
hear me? Hi, Gray.
Yeah, I
How
can
you
hear you.
doing?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm okay.
Can you talk about what you're working on in Providence right now?
Well, we're starting here sort of via the IWW, at least at first, but it's been involving lots of other people, a solidarity network type model down here. We have at least a placeholder name so far of Rhode Island Solidarity and Equality Network, but I don't know.
Yeah, can you talk about the structure a bit? Because maybe some of our listeners might be interested in that. You know, how does the organizing work?
So basically, a solidarity network, at least as modeled by SeaSol out in Seattle.
Seattle Solidarity Network is an all-volunteer network of working people who defend ourselves against abuses from the rich and powerful through collective action and mutual support.
What we're doing and what we're trying to do at the Seattle Solidarity Network is create a network of people supporting each other.
That means we rely very heavily on direct action because we're not interested in using professionals, because we want regular people to do it for themselves.
A group of people, everything from, organizers who might, have some type of political consciousness, or at least, revolutionary consciousness, but also working just, really with people that are in their neighborhood or people that are in their workplaces. And basically the model is based around folks that are in an organizing committee or the group of people that are starting up the network put up flyers and posters around town saying things like, did your wages get stolen? Or do you want more dignity at work? Or, is your landlord not treating you that well? Or is your landlord maybe racist or something like that? And then folks contact the network, and we sit down with them, figure out what their grievance is, and then try to see, if it's a grievance that can be won. And there's some models and stuff like that for figuring out if generally a grievance is going to be winnable. Like for instance, someone might not be able to get maybe a few $1,000s back, depending on what type of place it is, or but someone might be able to get their last check. It's all relative to case-by-case example, and there's some graphs and stuff that help folks figure that out that you can see in videos that SeaSol has.
We started Seattle Solidarity Network because we needed to start a concrete fight which directly related to people's lives and to our own lives and to our own problems that we have with our own employers and landlords.
It's a new take on a classic method of organizing. People getting together and going to confront their boss or their landlord is old. That's as old as bosses or landlords, right? What we're trying to do by taking people from different workplaces and different housing and going together, that's the thing that we think is new about this.
We wanted to find strategies and tactics that ordinary people could get together and do for themselves rather than having to depend on lawyers or politicians or government agencies and so on.
Strategically, what we do is we create a sustained series of actions targeting a particular boss or landlord designed to hurt them and to keep the hurt on until they give in.
We try to come up with as many tactics as possible things that a group of people can do collectively which will hurt the boss or the landlord, either embarrass them, hurt their reputation, or just aggravate them or whatever. It usually costs them money. We want to make it cost them more and more as time goes on and they still don't give in. So we never bluff. Like if we say we'll take further action unless you give in, we will.
We really want to win. So we specifically work to make demands that we think are winnable. We'll start with an initial demand delivery and try and have a show of force to the boss or the landlord, whoever it is, that more people are paying attention than just this one worker, this one tenant.
So basically, in Providence, we're at the stage where we've gathered about 24 people that are either on an email list and a phone tree that want to help in getting this going, and we're about to probably within the next week or two start putting up posters all over the city and start getting hopefully our first calls of people that have grievances. And
what are the major problems that are plaguing Providence right now that you guys are hoping to tackle with the Solidarity Network?
Well, pretty much you can go anywhere around Providence, and not only the fact that there's a lot of homeless people and that there's also a lot of unemployment, working conditions and housing conditions are pretty tough. There's a lot of foreclosed property, and there's a lot of crappy landlords, but there's also a lot of crappy sort of service jobs, and even to a degree there's still a bunch of sort of traditional warehouse or manufacturing jobs that are mostly done by immigrant workers and people of color that are not so hot. And so generally we wanted to do something where it would be connected to like a real struggle, that it wouldn't be like a separated sort of activist like issue, that it would either be like a community struggle or a workplace struggle. And we're starting to really try to get back our Providence IWW branch going after a few years of things being sort of in a lull because of what happened to our fellow worker Alexandra Svoboda, who was the victim of a police riot back in 2007 during a solidarity picket with food workers and stuff like that in New York City. And so we're really just starting to try to get back on our feet, and that's why we had our organizer training this past weekend to get everyone back up to snuff with their organizing skills. And we're going to hopefully be planning a general IWW campaign as well, but we figured that also we might start meeting a lot more rank and file people that are really pissed off about their conditions at work or at their house, and that might start being a way to change our group from being people that are sort of dedicated revolutionary organizers and stuff like that to being one that is involving everyday people.
What are some of the point of emphasis that you guys try to hammer home during the training sessions? If you could share them with us.
Yeah, sure. So, another thing, about the Solidarity Network and even about sort of a lot of the more current models that are going on for organizing with the IWW is really on direct action. Mm-hmm. The main reason for that is that, other than the old direct action gets the goods, is that direct action is sort of the only way in workplace organizing, at the very least, that you're going to actually probably win a struggle in the short term. Mainly that, as a metaphor that one of our organizers gave the conference, is that labor law is sort of like a shield with many holes in it, and it doesn't stand up really too well, though sometimes it blocks things, to, a heavy artillery of, union busting campaigns and stuff like that. But direct action is our sword that lets us sort of strike out and actually, win a few things here and there as everyday people. And so a lot of the emphasis was on direct action, because pretty much people don't really realize this. I mean, most people know that there's supposedly this thing called an at-will employee, but basically, folks can get fired for nothing at all or something that's morally wrong. The only thing they can't get fired for is, if they're a member of a protected class, and so that basically means like if you're, Black or Hispanic or a woman, or in some states, but not many, if you're gay. And so it's either that or you can't get fired for, union organizing, but the bosses will never actually fire you for those said things, and they'll fire you for supposedly stealing, like maybe a ketchup packet, like it happened to a fellow worker out in Seattle. Or they can fire you for being ugly or not wearing the right clothes on the right day. They can fire you anytime. So it's better to just get together with your friends and coworkers and slowly but surely start organizing and being able to take direct action on a job. Like say, the shop that you're working at or the place you're working at is too hot. Everyone goes off the store floor and buys a fan and comes back. That's what some workers apparently did out in the Starbucks campaign out in Minneapolis. And so,
right.
So a lot of the emphasis in the IWW is on taking direct action and using solidarity, like building solidarity with your coworkers, so you can be stronger, because otherwise you pretty much have no protections. People a lot of times say that like, you're going to try to form a union, that's just going to get you fired. You're probably actually going to get fired anyway. And so the same thing goes with the Solidarity Network, is that the model is pretty much more towards the tail end of a struggle. Like a lot of times, the work has already been fired or had to quit or whatever, and they didn't get their last check, or they're still there but they don't have any respect on the job. And so what we do is we meet with that worker, and we figure out what their grievance is, if it's winnable, and then we give the boss a demand letter saying, like, if you don't, meet this person's demands, that, we'll be back with a large presence in a week or two with even more people. So, the first time we show up with maybe 8 people, the next time we show up with, maybe 16, etc. And we keep on trying to escalate whatever the, damage we're doing to the company until hopefully the business or the employer gives in. And generally it's sort of the same thing, though a little bit different for the housing stuff. And I can't speak too much to it because we haven't really started doing the organizing yet. We're really in the initial stages, but right. That's pretty much the model.
Great. We only have a minute left. Thank you for calling in on such short notice.
Yeah, definitely.
And keep us updated and come back anytime.
Definitely, we'll do. And thanks for having me on the show.
9 to 5 in a job that we hate, molting our minds to serve food on a plate, wasting our time asking who's to blame. Rush